All right. Yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2024 Academic Student Weekend, hosted by the Brown School at Washington University in St. Louis. While we are waiting for people to join the room and then get started, our virtual program in just a few minutes. Please feel free to introduce yourself in the chat, not in the Q&A section. Let us know about your name, where you are joining from, and your academic program. And we would love to get to know you a little bit more in this virtual space. I do think that we should go ahead and get started. Just really want to be mindful for our time. Again, thank you for joining us today. My name is Daisy Shuley, and I use she, her, hers pronouns. I'm currently the manager of global programs at the Brown School. I'm also the host of our today's first and second sections. That will be covering a lot of great information and resources for our international students. The first one will be our international student experiences, and we invited a lot of amazing panelists to share their firsthand experiences here at the Brown School. I'm very excited to have you joining our section and also hear about their experiences. Just want to quickly go through a few housekeeping items. So today's webinar is now being recorded. So if you cannot join the full section of our virtual programming for Academic Student Weekend, you are always welcome to check our Brown School webpage or Brown School YouTube channel and then review them later. And also we currently we are opening the closed captions, so it can be activated anytime if you need the subtitles. The third one is that we are currently in a Zoom webinar, so unfortunately we cannot see or hear you, and we cannot call on the raised hands. However, we do want to invite you to use the Q&A section, not the chat section, to submit any questions during the today's conversation. Due to the limit time, and also we have a panel discussion today, we cannot go over with all the questions. So some questions will be answered within the Q&A window by admission staff. Some will be selected to be answered live by the panel at the end of the Q&A section. If we don't have a chance to answer your questions, please reach out to us via email at brownsadmissions@wustl.edu. So now let's go ahead and get started. So again, we have a very amazing panel joining us today, and I would love to give them the space to introduce themselves. We are very happily joined by our colleagues from Global Programs Office and also our current students. So panelists, if you would, please introduce yourself, pronounce your home country, your main role or your program and or concentration. And I will turn it over to my colleague Tammy first to kick in. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So as Iti said, my name is Tammy Orahood. I'm the Director of Global Programs. So you'll be getting a welcome letter for me next month. Our office does a variety of things for international students and then for students across the entire Brown School. So we'll be running the International Student Orientation, which you'll be required to do on August 18th and 19th. And then we have many different support programming and cultural programming that you'll also learn about today throughout the year. And we run a peer mentoring program. I also work with students who do our global practicum and who do our we call them field-based courses that travel abroad. So I'm really happy to be here with you today. Welcome.
I will let Cassandra go next. Welcome, Cassandra.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cassandra Ezike. I am Nigerian and also in my second year of the MPH program, specializing in epidemiology and biostatistics. And I look forward to sharing all the tips and tricks with all of you. Also, welcome to everyone and shout out to friends in the group.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. We are so happy to have you again this year. Next, I would like to introduce Ellen. Ellen, would you mind going next?
Yes, my name is Ellen. So I'm originally from Malawi and I'm a second year Master of Public Health student. My specialization is global health, and I'm looking forward to having this sharing session with you all.
Next, Yutsen. Welcome, Yutsen.
Hi everyone. My name is Yutsen Pai, and I am from Taiwan, and I'm currently in my first year doing my MSW, and my concentration in MSW is health, and next year I'll working towards my MPH doing generalist. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Yutsen. Yu, would you mind go next?
Hello everyone, my name is Xiaoyu and I'm a student from social policy and it's so happy to meet you here.
Thank you, Yu. And Munira, last but not least, welcome.
Hi, my name is Munira. I am from Saudi Arabia and I am an MSW student in a concentration of mental health.
Thank you all for your introduction, and I believe that definitely in later discussions, our students will definitely hear your stories, and we are really looking forward to it. So next, I would like to invite Tammy to talk about our diverse international community and the resources and support available for international students. And you may want to know why we have so much support to attract so many great talents from all over the globe. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you very much. So yes, we do provide a lot of support for students. This is just a few examples. So I know some of you want to work, and so we will be hosting probably the first week of class, a part-time job fair. As an international student, you can legally work up to 20 hours a week on campus only during school years, and then up to 40 hours a week during break. So there will be this job fair to find jobs on campus. We also have practicum fairs. This is a picture of one of our recent practicum fairs for students to meet with local agencies about working for them for practicum. We also host a variety of speakers and conferences and workshops. That's the gorgeous forum that you see in the second picture there. We have many different resources, academic, including the statistics lab, the communications lab, writing center on campus. We have an English language support course that you will be tested for, and if it's found you need the additional supports, this course is geared towards Brown School students and the coursework that they're going to take. That's a 0 credit, no tuition class that will take place in the fall, so you'll find out more about that. And then I briefly mentioned the field-based courses and global practicum. So this bottom left is a recent picture from a trip to Berlin over spring break with Professor Heather Cameron on the Health and Social Impact Seminar, which is just one example. Students can travel usually over breaks for a week to 10 days with a faculty member to dive deep into a topic into another country. And then Global Practicum is reserved really for students doing our global concentrations. But if you want to do your practicum in a third country, we have funding for that as well. And then finally, we have lots of different group activities. This happens to be a picture of the Blues game with Cassandra. It looks like you got to go to that. If you've never been to a hockey game before, we are a very big sports town in St. Louis. So you have to go to some of the sports, the professional sports while you're there. We are the best baseball town in the United States. We also have a hockey team. We have a Major League Soccer team, and we have a football team as well as American football. So we arrange lots of things in the community as well as on campus. And we really pride ourselves on having a student-centered approach. So here are many different opportunities of support, both academic and programmatic, and we even have, financial. But our library, we're fortunate to have our very own library on the 3rd floor of Brown Hall. So these are different offices and people that you can reach out to for support during your years at the Brown School. So more specifically, these are some of the things that our office does. So throughout the year, we're going to have lots of different events, starting with the International Student Orientation. And I misspoke earlier. The dates for that are August 19th and 20th. So it's the Monday and Tuesday right before your new student orientation. So you need to make sure you arrive in time, but for August 19th, that's required. We have very practical resource sessions, such as how to buy a car, how to work with police, how to bank, those sorts of things for someone new to the United States. We also have a lot of faculty who themselves were international students or who do a lot of work globally. We call them global faculty, and they will do tables over a really nice lunch a few times during the semester to talk about how they got to where they are, their career tips, that sort of thing. And then both Ziti and I participate in a working group on career development specifically for international students. So we've had panels with international alumni and networking panels and how to find jobs in the United States. I mentioned that English language proficiency course. So this is a free course. There's not an additional cost. And like I said, it's tailored to the Brown School curriculum. So look for information on that. And then we have our own in-house communication lab. They're changing the name to something fancy, so you'll find out more about that. But Dr. Peter Coogan runs that, and he's really amazing at working with international students. We also have virtual engagement, of course. We have a new website and a new webmaster, so we're going to have a lot of great content on that. That's globalbrown.wustl.edu. And then social media, we use Facebook, we use WeChat. We're always open and in fact hire students for our office to help us with our social media and our engagement. And then I do want to highlight this Global Peer Leader Program because we have hired students, some of whom are on this call, who will work with incoming international students, get acclimated to St. Louis, to graduate school, all of that. So again, look for information on that when I send out my letter of welcome in May. And then we have several different student affinity groups, the main one being the International Student Association. We have students who serve on our Student Coordinating Council. We have affinity groups like Black Student Association or the API Student Association or others based on your affinity. So there's lots of different ways to evolve and to get different levels of support. And then across campus as well, there's others. You will get to know OISS very well. That's our Office for International Students and Scholars. They are the ones who are going to process your I-20. CPT and OPT is work authorization. So for practicum, you would do CPT, which is tied to a course, and OPT is if you want to stay in the United States after you graduate and work. So they process all of that. If you need to apply for a Social Security number, taxes, that sort of thing. And then we have a new office that's university-wide for student engagement. We have a new, they renamed it, it's not new, but the name is new to us, the Center for Counseling and Psychological Services. A lot of different groups and mental health programs virtually and in person. They even have therapists that speak different languages. And then finally, the Graduate Center, which works specifically and only with graduate students. So if you're bringing your family, for example, and you want additional resources about schools and child and family care services, the Graduate Center can help you. And then I've mentioned some of our cultural celebrations. So here's some pictures. The cultural showcase, we just had that at the end of March. It was a great celebration. We brought that back after being virtual or being on a hiatus because of COVID. So this was from our presentation of cultural dress. It was a lot of fun. The middle picture was from Lunar New Year. I think that one was lunar, or no, that one was Autumn Festival. International orientation, I mentioned, the faculty tables, the alumni panel we mentioned, and then the peer mentor program where you can have one-on-one mentoring with peers. And just in case you were wondering where our students come from, this list is from our current cohort of students, so students who entered in 2022 and 2023. So this just shows you how diverse our international student population is. We have students from literally all over the globe. China is slightly the largest, although we'll see if that changes in this new cohort. We are seeing an increase in students from Africa, from several different African nations, including Ethiopia and Ghana and Uganda and Nigeria. So as a continent, Africa is the largest group, but we have students from all over the world, as you can see.
Thank you so much, Tammy, for the great introduction of our resources. And I believe that you probably want to learn more about how students feel, when they are in this amazing community. So first of all, I would toss our first questions to our panelists. So out of all your academic programs, why did you choose the Brown School at Washington University in St. Louis? Panelists, please feel free to unmute yourself and then jump in.
I can start. Okay,
Okay.
yeah. So for me, there were a lot of things that I was looking for in a school. And when I went to the WashU website, I looked at all the pictures, just like the way Tammy has showed us the different pictures. And I saw a lot of diversity, right? A lot of people from different countries. And for me, it felt like home. I was like, this is beautiful. I feel like I can easily fit in. But besides that, I also like WashU because of its ability to support students, especially like me from Africa, who otherwise would not come to the US, but it provides a scholarship. So for me, like those two were the things that stood out for me in choosing Brown School.
Thanks, Ellen. Anyone else?
Sure, I can go next. I was already in the US because I was finishing my undergrad at UMSL. So when I was looking for where to transfer, I knew I didn't want to like continue at UMSL, no shade. But I heard so much about WashU, but only from about the Med campus and just how big WashU Med was and how much of a research school it was. But I actually reached out to people on LinkedIn who were alums at WashU, be it Olin, the Brown School, and I heard a lot of positive things about the Brown School. So I was like, I'll just apply. I actually ended up applying to Washington University in Seattle also by accident because I thought that was WashU. But I got accepted. I came, and it has been probably the best decision I made by myself in a while. So yeah.
Thank you, Cassandra.
There's a reason why we added the words in St. Louis to Washington University. There's a lot of different schools with the word Washington, our first president in the name. We were named after George Washington because we were founded on his birthday, but we are definitely in St. Louis, not Washington State or Washington, D.C. or Virginia or anywhere else. So yes, make sure you come to St. Louis.
I am speaking more from a personal perspective because I want to pursue a PhD in US, and the MSP just gave me 1 year to see whether I can adopt to the American education system, so I can.
Thanks, B. And we also know that you just admit to many amazing PhD program, and I'm very happy that, this 1 year experiences make your goal come true. Okay. Yeah, we still have a lot of questions. So if no one else is gonna answer this one, we will jump into the second questions. So I know that it's very challenging for a lot of international students to move to a different country and start a new life in a challenging academic program. So as an international student, did you encounter any challenges here? What resources and support have you utilized here at the Brown School or WashU? Feel free to jump in.
I can be the first one because English is not my native native language and my skill in speaking and writing is not enough. So when I finished my first publication, I often went to WashU Writing Center to ask for help. And with their help, I finished my publication and my SOP. So I think Writing Center and also we have another communication lab in WashU is a very good resource for us. Yeah.
Thanks, P. Anyone
Yeah.
else?
I can go next. For me, one thing that I faced and I got support from WashU is when I was coming to the US or to Brown School, I came with my children. So maybe we could have students that are thinking of coming with children. So when I came in, I didn't do a lot of research, but then when I came, I reached out to Tammy showed something about the Graduate Center. So I reached out to WashU and I was linked with, I'm assuming it should be the Graduate Center because they have this institution or a care, a babysitter organization or a company that offers services to assist you with babysitting. Whereby you just contribute something and WashU contributes something for a certain period of time as you try to navigate your way through St. Louis or at the Brown School. So I thought that that was really helpful because I didn't know like, where am I going to put my kids? What am I going to do? So for those people that are thinking of bringing children, with them as they come, that's one resource maybe they can try to utilize, or if not, others decide to come and then experience St. Louis before they can bring in children. So that's also an option.
Thanks, P and Alan. Those are really good resources. Whether you are the person whose first language is not English, you're navigating the language barrier, here are a lot of resources. Or you are an individual with family member coming to a different country, you can also find your community and also a lot of support system here at the WashU. So definitely check in our resources on our webpage, and then you can learn more and about what you need. All right. Next, I will just say thank you, panelists, for your sharing, and then I will move forward to the next part. So we always got a lot of questions about part-time jobs opportunities at Washington University. We do want to say that Brown School students do have access to a variety of campus-based employment opportunities, and a majority of the Brown School students, including our international students, work part-time while completing their graduate studies here. Both WashU and Brown School offer many part-time opportunities, including research assistantships and campus-based position. For example, research assistantships, many Brown School faculty and research center do hire students to work as a RA, offering a lot of outstanding opportunities for them to engage in the research projects with our faculty mentors. We also have a variety of campus-based positions that are not related to research, including roles like in administrative positions, facilities and libraries, services, and etc. Like Tammy mentioned earlier, the office where we are, Global Programs Office, we also launched a program called Global Peer Leader Programs last year, and where international students can be hired to run a lot of amazing community engagement programs, culture events, and so on and beyond. So here are just some information, and please keep an eye out to our communication from admissions office and also our admit student resources page, where you can find more updated information. So incoming international student, again, you will have the opportunity to search for open part-time position prior to the start of the fall semester through Handshake, which is the WashU Central Career Management System under the Center for Career Engagement. In addition to the centralized platforms, Handshake, the Center for Career Engagement also provide a lot of resources, support, and services for our international students to navigate, part-time job searching process, US, job searching strategies, and so on. For example, they do provide like coaching, planning events such as resume review sessions, career fairs, and so on. They also do have some career assessment and skill training opportunities, such as mock interview training. Last but not least, we do have a very, very strong and bonded community of our recruiters and WashU alumni and current students. So they will run a lot of amazing events to help you to connect with the alum who you are currently, who is working in the positions that you are interested in. So I will, move forward to the next questions and ask any of our panelists, have you had any on-campus job or research position, and how did you find these opportunities? Feel free to unmute yourself and get started.
I think I can go first. So I currently have a job as it's not a research position, it's a graduate assistantship. So how I found my job was very weird. So I used to work in the Dean Suite my first year at the Brown School, but the Dean Suite is on I think they rotate. So if you're currently looking for jobs, you can also check some of the offices on campus. I know that they hire student assistants to help with receptionist work and things like that. But my job as a graduate assistant is designing graphics for a lab at the Med campus. I like to design graphics, and so I leveraged that designing graphics skill with a professor who was doing work at the Med campus and was not necessarily looking for a graphic designer, but more of a research assistant. But I was like, I can design graphics if you hire me, and I got hired to design graphics. So I think that when a lot of look for jobs, because WashU is such a very research heavy campus, like people come in with very specific things that they're looking for. And I'm not gonna like discourage you from having your, boundaries and limitations and aspirations, but also just be mindful that like 100 other people want that very specific job with that very specific professor. So be easy on yourself and look at other opportunities that will also, the most important thing to me is getting paid. As if you're getting paid, there's room for you to also there's room for you to add to the work that some professors are doing. Like you can volunteer your time with certain professors who are doing projects that you are interested in. Maybe they're not hiring research assistants, but they're looking for students who might want to just, help them write a paper or get their name on a post or just help analyze data. Don't be afraid to volunteer your time, but also look for jobs that are hiring. Don't discredit any jobs because they're not like very specific to what you want to do. And also don't be afraid to market yourself to other professors. If you like to write, maybe market yourself as a writer. If you've written grants before, market yourself as a grant writer. There are many opportunities. They may not fit the way they're worded may not fit the scope of what you're looking for, but there's always wiggle room to find something and establish a position that is not traditionally what you were looking for. So yeah, that was a very long way to say I design graphics.
Okay, so I just want to add, like, for many people, they would rather come to the US and start applying for part-time jobs. But for me, my experience was different because I was aggressive about it. While I was still in Malawi, I started looking at different websites, the job sites. So I was able to like come across this job in residential life. That's the section of WashU that looks at campus housing. So I applied, and I was not even thinking that I would get a job before I come. So I applied, and then luckily enough, I was invited for an interview. And then I got the job, and I was like, oh, this gives me peace of mind because I already have a job. I don't have to worry that I have to go and start looking for a job. So for those people that would want to start exploring areas, that's also an option for you. Like go through the different job sites like Handshake and see if there's anything that you like and you apply. And if you're fortunate enough, you might just land something before you come to the US.
I also would like to add to what Cassandra shared, that even if you are coming from a background that is different from the research world, I personally come from a different background and different experience, and I started meeting with my instructors, my course instructors and professors, and sell these tasks, or sell these skills to them. And actually, I was able to join their labs as a volunteer, and then that helped me to gain research skills that I right now help me to get a position in the lab as a job.
And also, I would like to mention the Global Peer Leader programs that Zizi talked about earlier. So I actually saw a few posts, so on Facebook, in the group chat, but back then I wasn't thinking of applying for any job because I wanted to be easy on myself for my first semester at the Brown School. But Zizi is also my academic advisor, and she told me about this position and encouraged me to apply for this position. So that's how I got my part-time job at the Global Programs Office. So yeah, I would say also, so besides Handshake, also check your email often, because sometimes people will be sharing different job position opportunities, and those are also a good way to like find your part-time job.
Thank you all. Yu, do you want to add anything?
No, because the last semester I too busy with my application, so I didn't have any time to find the job. Yeah.
Okay, that all sounds good. And I hear so much great information, using your networking, your academic advisor, your faculty advisor, or your friends or people who are from the same program. Definitely don't be afraid to reach out and ask information. People here are very helpful and try to help you to navigate the job searching process. So you're welcome to reach out to us if you want to have more information, and also apply early, since international students have to go through a slightly longer process to get like the legal documents to make sure you can work here. So yeah, keep us posted if you have any questions for this specific process. And the next one, we talk about, just be familiar with the program, settle down in the US, juggling your academic programs and part-time jobs. Can any of our panelists share about what does your typical day look like at a Brown School, and how do you balance, make a balance at a graduate school?
So me personally, I only am on campus on Wednesdays because I don't want to pay for parking. So my typical day at the Brown School is not crazy hectic in terms of my schedule, but I think where it tends to be difficult is because for some reason at the Brown School, everything is due at the same time. So you might have a lot of deadlines that collide with each other. So it just seems like you have to swim amongst all the sharks to just get to dry land. So if you're someone who has excellent time management and you are a boss at getting your stuff done and out of the way, then I think this would be a space where you thrive. If you're someone who is not on that level yet, there's room for you definitely in your first semester to just be a little more strategic and more focused on just getting deadlines in. But for me, my schedule is not too crazy, but finding balance, I would say holding on to your friends and making sure that you make time for social interactions. Um, there have been periods of times where I realized that, oh, wow, this week, the only thing I did was go to class, come home and do assignments. But you have to, because people will constantly invite you to things. And WashU is always having different things. If it's not a blues game, it's a play, or they're taking people ice skating, or they're doing something at the zoo. There's just always something to do. So, and I've met so many great people. In fact, I've been able to build my network through all of these events and just going out and being social. So I would say finding balance is making sure that you make time for what your definition of self-care is. If you're not someone who likes to go out, then maybe that's not your thing. You want to stay in, or you want to take a walk in Forest Park. There are also a lot of very free, emphasis on the free, wonderful, beautiful places to see in St. Louis. So while you're here, take advantage of it. Go to the zoo, go to the botanical gardens, go everywhere that, go to the Arch. I've been here for what, 3 years. I've still never been to the Arch. And I'm about to graduate. So just take advantage of the space, take advantage of the free stuff, and hold on to your friends and people that bring you joy, because you're going to need them in the 2 or 3 years that you will be at the Brown School.
So yeah, talking about friends, actually Cassandra is one of my good friends. So so that's a good thing. And just to add on what Cassandra has said as well, like a typical day for you, if you don't go like to the campus just maybe once a day to attend classes, you could be going to a campus, I mean to the campus because you have a campus job. So your typical day will be like, oh, you attend classes and then you probably go to your work, and then you proceed with your day. So I just wanted to add to bring in that work element. You might find yourself going to campus maybe more than once, or actually you can even go the whole week to campus depending on what you want to do. So yeah.
I usually spend whole day on campus. I usually get up at 7 and do exercise on gym. Then I went to classroom because I usually have morning classes, and then I spend a lot of time on my assignments. Then I go back to home at 9 or 10 p.m. And because it's so late, you should take the shuttle to your home. And it's my typical day at the Brown School. And I think if you want to find balance, you should spend more time with your friends. And if you feel stress, you just go to park and to talk with your professor. You can find your life and work balance. That's all.
Yeah, thank you all for your sharing. And I definitely hear like, you are here at the Brown School, not just, attending your program and get your degree. There's so much more and beyond than just graduate school that could fulfill your, 2 year here at least. So thank you all for your sharing. And I also heard our panelists kind of like touch base a little bit about transportation, life here in St. Louis, not just at WashU and Brown School. So the next I will invite Tammy back to talk about the resources that you can utilize before and after your arrival in the US, and what type of like community you can find here in the St. Louis.
Sure. So several of the students mentioned Forest Park, so I'm actually going to start with that because it's a wonderful gem that is literally right next to campus. And Forest Park is the largest public park in the United States. It's larger than Central Park in New York, and in it you will find a zoo, which is free, and a science center, which is free, and an art and a history museum, which is free, and sports and trails, and there's a Muni, which is a municipal theater during the summer that they even have free tickets there. Actually, St. Louis has more free entrances than any other city except Washington, D.C. because of the Smithsonian Museum. So the affordability of St. Louis is something that I really cannot stress enough. If you're looking at other schools across the United States, especially in cities on the coast, you're going to find your money's going to go a lot farther in a place like St. Louis. And that includes housing. Now, housing is expensive, of course, but it's going to be a lot more expensive if you're looking in other states. So where do our students find housing, and how do our students find housing? So first of all, Washington University has its own housing service called Quadrangle. All of the, not any building that's around campus that has a green door is owned by Quadrangle Housing. So we have a couple of examples here. Obviously, if you can find roommates, it's going to be cheaper. And so we encourage you to use your networking through the groups or the Facebook or the WeChat pages to find roommates so that you can share. A couple of other services, there's apartment referral services. So if you want to look on the private market for landlords that have hosted WashU students before, there's more resources on the International Student Scholars pages, as well as the Admitted Student Resources page. A lot of students will find roommates through Facebook or other social media pages as well. So that's to give you an idea how to start searching for housing. And then for transportation, every WashU student will receive a U-Pass for free. That will give you access to our Metro Transit. We call it Metro Rail. And there's a couple different stops on campus for that, as well as our bike system. WashU has their own system called Campus Circulator, as well as the shuttle. One of the students mentioned taking the shuttle at night. You can get a parking pass if you do have a car. You can also get bikes. So if you're close enough and you want to bike, there's Bear Bikes, which is a student-led little enterprise where you can get a bike for the semester or the year. We have car share programs. Enterprise is a large car share that's actually headquartered in St. Louis. Uber and Lyft are also very popular with students for ride shares. So when you get here, you might want to download those apps as well. So you can go to parking.wustl.edu to look at different options. A lot of students, they use various methods for transportation. So we can turn it over to the students now and ask them about how you located the apartment you're currently living in, any advice on housing or transportation. Munira, you came off mute.
I will go first. Because I'm a mother and I have kids that I need to find school that is fed to them. I looked on a website, there is a website, an application called Apartment. And through that, I found the apartment near the school district. I actually went back to the school to my advisor and asked about the good school district for high schoolers, and based on that, I looked to their apartment close to that. Now, when it comes to the process, that's where things I needed some support because usually I would be requested to pay an insurance or to provide proof of income and a bank account. These usually take time whenever when I arrive. Still, with the support, I managed to get my apartment within 2 weeks of my arrival. These first weeks, I used Airbnb to rent a temporary stay, and from then found my apartment.
So Manira makes a good point. If you are bringing children, St. Louis is a little unique because it's actually made up of different municipalities, and each municipality has its own school district. So you actually do need to know where you're going to live because that's going to determine what school you're going to go into. And we have very good public schools and we have mediocre public schools, quite frankly. So you want to make sure that you're in one of the good ones. And there are affordable housing in good school districts that are close to the university. So I'm a parent as well. If you have children and you want to ask about neighborhoods or school districts, you can also email me too, because you want to be looking in certain areas so that you could have access to the public schools, which are entirely free for children. And we even have early childhood if you've got children before the age of 5, which is when kindergarten, the first free public school starts. Anyone else want to add anything about housing or transportation? Any of our
Yeah,
other panelists?
say that Munira brought up a really good point about like housing documentation, like the proof of funds and all of that, credit score. So I would also say when you're looking for housing, you want to make sure that you're looking at apartments that are renter friendly, because as an international student, especially if you're just coming from your country, you're probably not going to have credit, or you're probably not going to have some of the things that you need to rent an apartment. But for example, with my apartment, it's very student friendly. So especially with international students, they already know that some of these documentations you don't have. So they have other processes for people who are international to go through. So the SCC on their website, the Student Coordinating Council for the Brown School, has a very great resource document on their website that also has links directly to some of the housing that current students live in that they swear by. So if you also want to check that resource out, it is on the SCC website, their page. So yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and also just to add, you like talking about documentation for some other like renters, like those people that would offer you housing, they can request for a cosigner. So if you can't sign for yourself or provide proof, there can be someone who can do that for you. And if you don't have anyone in the US, then that becomes a problem. Then you just have to try to find, like Cassandra said, student-friendly housing. For me, I found my initial housing through Quadrangle. So that was the site that I utilized to find my apartment. Of course, now I've changed, I'm in a different apartment, but that was my initial housing.
Because I know I will be very late at school, so I choose the area which shuttle can cover. So I just search information on QH website and to find whether it is a good place. Then I just follow the website instruction and finish all my housing. Yeah. And also, I think transportation in St. Louis is not bad because the bus and the metro bus is always on time. So you just play your travel plan in advance, so you can easily to get anywhere if you didn't have a car. And also, I think shuttle and on-demand shuttle is very convenient if you live around our campus area.
Also, don't be
want to-
afraid to live a little far away from campus. I live in the Central West End, and there's a metro station, there are bus stops. Like if I didn't have a car, actually my first semester at WashU, I used the metro, and then I decided I just didn't want to wake up too early anymore. So I was like, I'll just drive to school. But if you don't have a car, St. Louis is small enough that everything isn't too far away. So you wouldn't be spending so much on Ubers or Lyfts if you are someone who is okay with public transportation. My experiences with the metro have not been bad. I haven't taken the metro bus before, but I've taken the metro train a lot. It stops right on campus. So you can just take the metro from wherever you live, whatever area you live, right to campus. And also with the shuttles, if I'm just speaking because I live in the Central West End. If you live in the Central West End, you can take the shuttle to the Med campus and then take the metro from the Med campus to wherever else you're trying to go. So those are just some hacks if you don't want to take the metro too late at night. So just find alternative routes that work for you based on where you live.
I
Yeah,
want
and also if you want to like wake too late at school, there's a shuttle that is called Campus to Home. So you can take the Campus to Home shuttle and it will drop you off at home, but it has specific areas that it goes, not like faraway places. And also with the metro, I just wanted to quickly add something that there will be certain areas that will not be able for you will not be able to access with the metro. So that's where the Uber comes in, because the metro doesn't go in like a lot of places.
One of the things that I think really useful while using public transportation is that there are apps for the shuttle, and also there is an app that called Transit that will show you the hours of each departure and arrival for all the metro lines, and it will show you a map and the number of the people over there, and it's really useful. I use public transportation within St. Louis, and it's really also the shuttle app. It's called Trip, and usually when I'm in class, I can check when the shuttle will be leaving the campus, and I can plan my day based on that. So that's useful.
So I'll talk a little bit about St. Louis, which I could talk about for a while. I actually grew up here, and then I lived literally all over the world and in, you know, major cities in the United States like Washington, D.C. And then I came back here, and so I feel strongly that St. Louis is a great place to live. I already talked about the affordability and the fact that you can access public schools. The diversity is another thing that I like. These are some examples of festivals and celebrations that are put on in St. Louis. So this is not even campus based. And we have so many different things that you can visit, like our St. Louis Zoo, which is award winning, and our Missouri Botanical Garden, which is also award winning. So we are a major city, about 3 million people when you take the entire metropolitan area together. So we have all of the things that the major cities you may be more familiar with have, the sports and festivals and the concerts and the parks and the museums. But it's just a little bit more accessible and a little bit more affordable. So I encourage you, when you come to WashU, to also get off campus and to explore St. Louis and to explore some of these festivals. Just a very short list of some of the things throughout the year that you can take advantage of. So this is a great question for our panelists. Is there something about St. Louis that surprised you or that you didn't expect?
I will go first. I will say the diversity, and I mean that with every aspect of the day. Like during the day, you will see diversity within like the restaurants, or whenever you are in public places, and that you will see like I like how diverse the city is.
If you're a Nigerian like me and you didn't even know there was a place called St. Louis, Missouri, then you would be very surprised. There are a lot of Nigerians here in St. Louis. It's almost crazy. Actually, there's even a new Nigerian restaurant that just opened in downtown St. Louis, and
Yes,
everyone has been raving about it. So
very excited.
I know it's great food. It's called Levels, shameless plug. But I would say even the city of St. Louis itself, when I moved from Nigeria to the US, I started in California. So California, St. Louis, very different experience, but St. Louis has had, in my opinion, more opportunities for me to venture out from what I normally would consider things that interested me. Some of the festivals Tammy showed, actually, I had been to a couple of them. Even there was like a whole food crawl thing in Soulard. There's just always different avenues for you to do something. So that was something I was very surprised about. I thought this was going to be a very boring city, but it's really not. So, it
Yeah, and for me, I thought I would miss like my food from home. But then when I got here, I found out like there's an African market where you can go like buy things like closer to home. It can be like exact, but things that are closer to home. So you can actually visit this African market and buy all the different, local foods that you'd want to prepare for yourself. So that's something which came as a good surprise for me.
Yeah, we do have a really great restaurant scene in St. Louis. It's really up and coming, and one of the reasons I think that it's gotten so good is because we have people, chefs and other people, restaurateurs moving from more expensive areas to St. Louis because they can actually afford to open a restaurant here. The slightly challenging part about St. Louis, though, is that it's spread out. So it's not like some cities where you go to one place and that's where all the restaurants are. There will be restaurants all over the city. There'll be restaurants in St. Charles, downtown, on the Hill in the Central West End, and on Washington Street. So you do have to find them a bit, but there's a lot of great food here if you're a foodie. And this is a picture of the Balloon Glow, which takes place in Forest Park. They have this big balloon race, and you can go the night before when they heat up all the balloons. Do we have a picture of the arch in this presentation?
Oh, not for this section.
So the arch, in case you do not know, is what St. Louis is famous for, that it's just a geometric shape downtown on the riverfront. It was dedicated to the explorers who started in St. Louis back when we were a brand new country, and all the settlers would stop in St. Louis because that was the last major town before they get in their covered wagons and go all the way to California and Oregon. So there's a really great free museum underneath, and then you can actually take this really weird elevator thing. It's a major marvel of engineering to the top of the arch, which is actually larger than the Statue of Liberty in New York, and you can see Illinois and Missouri from the top. Yeah, it's a national park. Sarah added a link, so.
Thank you all for, the sharing. And I just kind of like, refresh my memories living here for 4 years, and I can't believe how time flies. It's a really great place to live. I would love to continue our conversation, but I will also want to be very, very mindful for our time, because we will have our second section about the I-20 and visa processing tips coming up very, very soon. Just before we end the first section, here is a very important timeline for our international student. We will definitely talk a little bit more in our second section, but if you can't join us for the second one, please remember that our next upcoming deadline is May 1st. This is a deadline to confirm your intended to enroll for 2024. So if you decided to join us, please, make sure to complete the necessary step before May 1st so that you can secure your spot. And if you have already done so, that will be even more amazing. For our 2024 cohort, please remember that your last day to arrive in the United States will be August 18th. So this is just to make sure that you can attend both in-person international student orientation and also the Brown School orientation, so that, you can get all the information and resources before you get started your amazing journey here. And we will talk about a little bit later, just dive into a little bit more details. here, last but not least, I know that many of you still have questions or you just want to connect with us or one of our panelists. So here are just some ways that you can stay connected with our Brown School virtual community. And I would like to highlight just some virtual platform that are primary for international students. We do have some social media, including WeChat, Facebook group, TikTok that you can, also Instagram, where you can see a lot of like updates for our community events. And we do also have Global Brown. This is a website that is by the Global Programs Office, where you can find more information about global practicum, global field-based courses, our international alumni or student stories, just more resources for you to stay connected with our international community. So before we move forward to the second section, I just really want to say a big thank you to everyone who attend our first section. And I will also want to say thank you to our amazing panelists. Thank you for your insight, tips, and also your wisdom. I know it's very, very appreciated. I also learned a lot from you today. So our next section about I-20 and visa processing tips will be started in just a moment. So if you have any issues accessing the webinar, please feel free to email brownadmission@worcester.edu and we will help you out there. So see you in the second section in just a moment. Bye, everyone. Thank you.